Welcome into the 22nd episode of The Ivy, as I'm Thomas and I will be here with you for the next 30 minutes on this Sunday night to dive into everything Cubs related. If you like the Cubs, you've come to the right place, and I'm extremely grateful that you took some time out of your Sunday night to join me here. Alright, well tonight we're going to be touching on the last week of disappointing games along with the NL Central standings and how the rest of the MLB has looked. I also want to be honest with you guys from the beginning of this podcast and telling you that my mind has been occupied all day with the passing of my dog earlier this morning. It was a full day at work for me as well today. So it has definitely been a full day, a lot of emotions, and a lot of just a busy day. And obviously the Cubs lost as well, so that wasn't great. However, I am with you guys here to break down the Cubs' last week of baseball. So let's get into it. And I want to say that just in case like my voice sounds kind of raspy or whatever, that's what's going on. But anyways, let's get into it. And we're going back to last Monday, Memorial Day. I hope you guys had a great Memorial Day. And also I want to say that I'm really excited for this new baseball podcast network and bringing on all the other teams into the network. I think that's really cool. And I really like the new features as well with the new app that we're using to record podcasts. Unfortunately, we can't access the live callers yet, but I think that the app has created a simpler way, at least on our end, to get the content out to you guys. So I think that's going to be great. But let's get into it. The Cubs lost 6-5. Last Monday, Memorial Day. This was game 1 of the series against the Astros. And this one featured Anthony Rizzo staying hot. He hit his 15th home run of the season. That was a 2-run shot in the first. And it honestly looked like, the Cubs were kind of, getting back into it. Obviously losing beforehand to the Reds. But against the Astros, they looked good in that first inning with Rizzo hitting that homer. However, the pitching struggled. Cole Hamels really did struggle. In 4 innings, he gave up 6 earned runs off of 7 hits, an uncharacteristic 4 walks, and then, of course, 0 strikeouts never will get the job done. He didn't give up any homers, but the rest of the bullpen was good. Kyle Ryan with 1 2/3 scoreless. Dylan Maples with an inning and a third scoreless, and then Brandon Kinsler closed out the 8th, but the offense wasn't there for the Cubs in this one. The Astros actually got out to a 6-2 lead thanks to a 5-run third inning. It was 6-2 after 3. Garrett Cole was impressive after that first inning 2-run homer to Rizzo. He struck out 12 batters in this game across just 6 innings, averaging 2 strikeouts an inning there. So he was dominant. The Cubs did get their 3rd run via David Bote RBI single. And then I believe it was back-to-back homers. Yeah, Almora with his 7th homer of the season. Like I said on last week's podcast, I think it's been great how we've seen Almora really crush the ball, and he had another 2 homers this week. And then Addison Russell hit his 3rd homer. They went back-to-back in the 9th to make it a 1-run game. So it was a little bit less close, I guess you could say, than what the score said of 6-5. But Roberto Osuna closed it out for his 14th save of the season. Let's get into May 28th. That's Tuesday's game now. And this was the game the Cubs dropped the second game. This was a final score of 9-6. Once again, the Cubs got out to an early lead. Actually, they trailed 1-0 after 1 inning, but claimed a 3-1 lead after 2 innings. Jason Hayward and Addison Russell, I believe, went back-to-back. I want to make sure that's right. Yeah, so Hayward hit his 8th homer of the season. Russell hit his 4th homer of the season. And then Descalso, I believe, he got out. And then David Bote hit a home run. So 3 solo homers in the top of the 2nd inning. That was Bote's 5th homer of the season. And then, like I said before, Addison also has seen his power stroke. We've seen that a lot more. Obviously, he homered Memorial Day and then homered the next day in this one. But the Cubs ended up blowing that game as well, as a 4-run 4th inning gave the Astros a 6-3 lead. That was all off of John Lester, who for the third consecutive start. He's actually starting tomorrow in the makeup game against the Angels, but he's had 3 straight starts now where he's looked less than impressive. Looking at his stats here, I'll pull it up for the last 3 games since we have a little bit more time to dive into those kinds of things now. But yeah, so he gave up 7 earned in this last outing off of 8 hits in 5 2/3. That was his longest outing of the last 3. The one before that, he only went 4 innings against the Phillies, gave up 4 earned runs. However, he gave up 7 runs in that game. 4 of those were earned, so I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but we all know that probably one error in that game wasn't exactly worth 3 runs, is what I'm trying to get at. So he honestly allowed more earned runs than what was given, but he only went 4 innings in that one, and then the one before that in Washington, he gave up a whopping 10 hits in just 4 1/3, gave up 5 runs. The strikeouts also haven't been there, dating back the last 5 starts, or even in the month of May, I should say. In 6 starts, he only had 31 strikeouts, and in one of those, he had 8. And that was 6 starts ago. So his last 5 starts, he's had 23 strikeouts, a very unimpressive number. Opponents hitting 303 on him with a whip of over 1.49, just under 1.5. So definitely gonna, a bad month of May. A career average, opponent average of a 2019 average of 280. We'll see those numbers come back down a little bit. I think regression hit Lester maybe just a little bit too hard, and hopefully he can bounce back tomorrow. But he wasn't good in this one, and the Cubs ended up getting 2 more runs later on. David Bote and Kyle Schwarber went back-to-back, as it was honestly a series full of back-to-backs for the Cubs, but a disappointing result. It was David Bote's 6th homer of the season and Schwarber's 9th. And Alex Bregman homered twice in this one. He's been impressive, man. 17 homers for Alex Bregman on the season. And the bullpen wasn't great for the Cubs in this one. Brad Brock gave up 2 earned in an inning and a third. C.J. Edwards was good, but he still has a season ERA of 7.59 at the time. We also saw Hector Rondon on the other side, a former Cub. I always like mentioning the former Cubs that we play. But yeah, so the Cubs were looking to avoid the sweep, and they actually did. On Wednesday, they earned the victory 2-1. They got out to an early 1-0 lead thanks to Kyle Schwarber's 10th homer of the season. He homered in the game before this, like I just said, on Tuesday. And this was his 2nd career leadoff homer. That was off of lefty Wade Miley, the veteran. Chris Bryant homered as well. That was his 13th of the season and his 2nd at-bat since being back in the this was his first game back in the lineup, I should say. So it was his 2nd at-bat since being back. Kind of a tongue twister there. Second at-bat of being back. He hit a home run, his 13th of the year since the collision last Sunday with Jason Hayward. But the Astros scored in the 4th against Kyle Hendricks, but Hendricks was shut down. The professor had class in session as he earned his 5th W of the season. 8 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. And when you look at Kyle Hendricks' May compared to John Lester, totally the opposite. In the month of May, Kyle Hendricks with a 4-0 record, a 1.81 ERA in 6 starts. He has 1 complete game, 1 shutout in 44 2/3 innings, 28 hits, 9 earned runs, only 3 home runs, and an opponent average of 177 and less than a .75 whip. A great May for Kyle Hendricks, and he kept that rolling last Wednesday. Really carried the Cubs in this one. The Cubs had 7 hits, but were 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position, left 6 men on base, and also that was a familiar theme let's see here, one second. A familiar theme in this series for the Cubs. They couldn't score with runners in scoring position. And it appears right now that my Wi-Fi wants to go down, so just give me a sec. Let me turn that off and turn it back on. I'm kind of at the mercy of the Wi-Fi right now. There we go. So in the 9-6 loss, the Cubs were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position and left 9 men on base. And then the game before that, I want to say that it wasn't a great number either. Let's see here. 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position and 6 men left on base. So not too big of an issue. But Tuesday and Wednesday it kind of was. And luckily, Kyle Hendricks saved us last Wednesday. But then the Cubs had, I believe, Thursday off. I want to make sure of that. Yep, because we had only a 3-game weekend series in St. Louis. And let me get into that now. Starting on May 31st on Friday. And the Cubs lost this one in 10 innings. And Yu Darvish with an incredible outing, to be honest with you. 6 innings, which obviously isn't, anything crazy, but 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. He looked very good. I think he could have went 7, but there was a little bit of a hiccup with some walks in there. And some timely hits for St. Louis. Pitches, Darvish was also only at 93. So he really could have gone one more, honestly. But anyways, St. Louis got out to an early 1-0 lead thanks to a Marcell Ozuna sacrifice fly in the first. However, right after that, in the second, Yu Darvish helped out his own case with a sac fly. I remember that hit, or I should say that out. But you really got a hold of it, and it looked good. But fast forwarding, no one really hit at all in this game. The Cubs, and that was honestly a feature of the whole series, to be honest with you, especially for the Cubs. But even today losing 2-1, and then on Friday losing 2-1. The Cubs had chances to win this series, and they really did not take advantage. And like I said before, if we thought Houston was an issue with runners in scoring position, St. Louis was even more of an issue. The Cubs are 0 for 8 in the 2-1 loss on Friday night with runners in scoring position, and then left 7 men on base. Miles Mikolas was great for the Cardinals. He had 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 earned, only 3 strikeouts, but he had great defense behind him. And then at the end, this was just a very tough game to watch. Essentially, the Cardinals, I'm going off the top of my head here, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. The Cardinals had a runner on second with 1 out, and Dylan Maples appeared to throw strike 3 on a 3-2 pitch to Harrison Bader. It would have been 2 outs with a runner on second. Instead, it turned into first and second with 1 out. Maples seemed to have lost all control. He walked the next batter on 4 pitches. I want to make sure I know who that was. So Harrison Bader walked up. So Jed Yorko, walked on 4 pitches. A guy that, Maples can handle. Clearly, it was a pinch hit as well. So that did not go as planned. And then Matt Carpenter hit like a line, like a hooking kind of fly ball to left. He kind of like slapped it sort of as a lefty, hit it to left field, I believe, and it got down. And that was the game. So it was a walk-off single for the Cardinals. And then getting into yesterday's game, that wasn't much better as the Cubs lost 7-4. Once again, it was a disappointing week. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for the Cubs. Falling out of first place, definitely not something you want to do. But Anthony Rizzo, yet again, a common theme, the Cubs got out to an early lead via the long ball in the last week or two, especially being that we broke the record. I think the Cubs franchise record for the most home runs in a month. I think the Cubs had 50, I want to say, in May, or 52, and the record was 50. Yeah, the record was 50, and I think we had at least 51 or 52. But Anthony Rizzo with the 16th homer yesterday in the first inning. That one came off of righty Jack Flaherty. He only went 5 innings, but he struck out 8. Lefty Jose Quintana wasn't great. 4 innings. He did have 6 strikeouts.